Hi, this is my second video, and I'll explain why birds clap and what that involves. If labeling things, phrasal verbs, and dependent prepositions truly were an aid and tool for learners, why are learners still puzzled when it comes to actually using them is the question. For the most part, learners still remain in the dark as to their meanings and proper functions. What is a phrasal? What is perfect? Perfect present? Simple? We'll see. Would it explain why non-native speakers remain far and few between becoming fluent and proficient, and why their levels are on average below that of intermediate level? And could it be because learners' brains are filled with terminology, rote learning, memorizing, and preventing most from truly speaking English meaningfully and genuinely acquiring the language? We can agree that merely labeling something a phrasal, verb, noun, or adjective does not clarify function. And majority rule fallacy, for lack of the technical term for this, in cognitive fallacies and bias, makes an impossible mission for us teachers to right the wrongs, especially when linguists who happen to point out discrepancies are labeled purists by AI, not to mention those who programmed AI, which is sheepish bot, basically, because it leads fools into the manure of unchecked data, for fear of eventually having to label otherwise teachers as like saviors when they do actually come to dispel what seems to be an impossible task, which means how can we bring English to the learners in a truthful way? Either way, I don't like being labeled a teacher, let alone a savior, or professor for that matter, though some profess to knowing everything there is to know about English. Sure, understanding prepositions and adverbs' embedded meaning in the context of phrasals is no easy task, but vagaries, simplifications, misanalysis, and distortions only make matters worse, and are generally a lame excuse for having to actually uncover and reveal perspicuous truths about the nature of English. And stunted learners rebel, and rightly so, as do intelligent teachers who can smell a rat from a parrot. No rats aboard this ship, and only parrots with pirates. On a ship, there's only room for the truth without distractions and distortions. Are you on board, or do you follow? There's a distinction on this ship, so I hope you join me aboard in the next series of videos I'm going to be putting out. Stay with me. It'll become clear, but it's not something to reveal in just 1 or 2 videos. So if you know what I'm getting at, keep your ears, heart, and mind open. First, we must dispel the myth that some phrasal verbs, let's just call them that for now, can even have 2 particles. Never. Here's why. Though the adverb is semantically relevant when it serves to alter the verb immediately preceding it, the preposition after the adverb always belongs to what follows. Wait for it. I will illustrate. The adverb shall need 1. to alter the verb's function, more often than not to render an intellectual sense to the action, and 2. it shall serve to merge actions, 2 actions in most cases, into one, a process called simplification, concision. But a verb is mislabeled phrasal when the particle or particles do not change the meaning of the verb. Listen, is one such verb. Whether I say listen or listen to this does not change the function of the verb. To doesn't change. And when in follows listen, which also, by the way, means that to is not a dependent preposition of listen, nor is wait dependent on for. You can say, I waited on a friend. The function of in serves to extend listen to eavesdrop. So the example here is, the spy was caught listening in on the enemy's radio communications. In relates to how the spy listened, whereas on is simply connected to the prepositional clause on the enemy's radio, on the radio. So in equals inside, but also closely, attentively. On is like on the radio waves. Think of surfing the waves. Or compare how we say what's on TV, or we're on business for that matter, or on holiday. It is the same on that refers to subject matter or topic. We read a book on some topic, or the on to express specific day and date. This video just happens to fall on a certain date. Where fall bears a metaphoric sense, but not on. The on affix and abstract nouns and nominalized verbs is the same though. Does this help explain the concept of mati? As I explained in my first video, let me know. If you have any other questions, write them in the comments. We're going to look more into prepositions in my series. We might be tempted to analyze in on itself as being the eavesdropping, but it wouldn't be accurate, would it? Here's another example. If you weren't convinced with my first premise, here's another. Teachers come across as being authoritative, even when they merely parrot what is misrepresented in the majority of mainstream course books. Even if come across may be considered a phrasal, since across establishes come as a metaphor. What follows is a separate clause, as being authoritative, where as means representing or in the position of. Compare I work as a consultant, and forms part of a non-essential adverbial modifier or gerund absolute clause, be plus affix ing plus adjective. Again, these are just terminology. So now we see on the surface how comes across as, if it's a phrasal verb, it saves us looking deeper into intricacies involved of simplification. And simplification is a topic I'm going to be discussing in my videos and as part of my ebook. The subtleties of English. Put it another way, English is aphoristic. It likes to be aphoristic and sacrifices precision for being succinct. Actually, nominalization is a desired formulation in English. So calling something a phrasal is on par with how we say that mosquitoes bite or birds chirp by clapping their beaks, for that matter. And this is where I come to my new phrase I coined, birds clap. Why the former is acceptable, mosquitoes bite, that's okay, but birds clap, not acceptable, is my real argument against the established definitions and labeling for things like phrasals. But really, calling something a phrasal, verb, noun, or adjective is more analogous to saying birds clap rather than sing. Thanks for watching.